In a world of remakes and remasters,
Are we playing for me?
what was once sacred and cool has now soured and become lame.
Red.
Gone are the days of pods and cowabunga. Now is the reign of slurp juice and dabs. Kids these days don't even know how bad they've got it. Now it's up to the best generation to rise to the occasion and make a show that dares to go where a lot of other nerdy shows have already gone quite a bit. That's right. They're going to talk about it a lot.
Hello and welcome to the show. David said he was going to be real quick, and
Not quick enough.
that was clearly a lie. And now he's making too much noise for me to do the intro to the show. Thanks for gracing us with your presence, David.
Hey, sorry, still with technical difficulties.
Yeah, I can finally get along with the intro because you're not making all this noise. Welcome to the show. The show's called Best Gen, where a bunch of nerds complain about nerdy things. And the show's called Best Gen because we all happen to be from the same gen, happen to think that it's the best one of all the gens, but we're very accepting. People of all ages. It doesn't matter when you're born. You're welcome to join the show, just as long as you can acknowledge that burning CDs was pretty freaking cool. Now all you do is click a button and you download it onto your iPhone. You don't even know the hard work it used to take to make a fire mixtape. Jared, you're muted. Hold up.
Yep.
You're muted. Now you're unmuted.
That was me. I muted because I thought I saw some echo coming from my end. Anyway, that being said, yesterday I was at a park with some of Hannah's friends. We were listening to a cassette tape.
Dude, that's where it's at.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about how the ice packs that we had looked like floppy disks. Almost actually more than just like the floppy disks I actually used in school, but like the big floppies.
The big ones, the 8-inch, was that?
Yeah, so I think so. I'm trying to remember exactly what they were, but yeah, the big ones that were.
I think they were measured in millimeters or something like that.
Something like that, yeah. I saw them and used them a couple of times, but I was young enough that I don't remember exactly what it all was. But yeah.
Did you have one of those? Do you have one of those tape recorders that if you push play and fast forward down at the same time, it would play faster and speed up the pitch?
I don't know if I ever did that one.
Yeah, you could do a chipmunk effect in real life.
That does sound.
It worked with the record too. If you push record and fast forward, it would record it at a faster rate, so that when you played it back, it would be lower.
Yeah.
And if you did the same, if you did record and rewind, it would play it slower. And then, so when you played it back, it was like chipmunk voices. It was the
nice. So you've got your own play. Was it Play and Tell from Home Alone 2?
Yeah, exactly.
I just know that
this is Kevin McAllister, the father.
I just know kids these days will never know. Like it was a labor of love to make a fire mixtape. Like you had to just finesse it real good.
Oh, and the agony of making a playlist and then trying to burn it to the CD, and it's like, oh no, it's like a minute and a half too long. Like, which song am I going to cut? Oh, that was agonizing.
I listened to a guy who he's actually from more like Gen X or even above that, but he was talking about the joy of trying to figure that out, the real, delicate of making sure it's just the right length so you don't have too much time at the end of the tape for him. versus, you know, you want to make sure that the right flow of songs and you don't run over things like that. Yep.
Well, we see our trusty Jacob Ironside in the chat. Welcome to everyone watching. We've got a lot to cover this evening. We're talking some She-Hulk episode 1, which I wasn't planning on watching, but we'll get into that. And we're finally talking about the Orville because David and I finished season 3, and Jared started watching it, and he's midway season through, so we might have some discussions and then kick him out when we're talk full spoilers.
It's so good. We'll talk about those.
I'm so excited you started watching it because it really is just an incredible experience. But there's also a lot of news to go over. There's a lot of crazy things happening with Warner Brothers is under new management, and they're making some changes left and right. But first off, we've got some Star Wars news I want to share real quick. You know how they already said that the Andor TV show is going to be exploring a Trumpian world.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited for. I love me some modern day politics shoehorned into my Star Wars, but that's not it, because actress Denise Go claims her character arc will also explore gender politics. Woo!
Fantastic.
So pumped.
Love to see it.
Pumped.
Love to see it.
I cannot wait for the show. It's going to be a blast. I love it. But more good news. Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal is officially renewed for season 2, baby!
Nice.
Oh!
I did actually see
Now
somebody.
do Raised by Wolves.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Raised by Wolves next. Yeah.
Please.
I did see actually somebody else, one of the other YouTube channels that I'll listen to that does movie talk and TV talk and stuff like that. Another lady had come across The Rehearsal, and she actually wasn't as big of a fan of Nathan For You, more because of the idea that it felt like it was too. She felt like she gets a little clued out when when it starts affecting other like kind of outside people. But she was saying she was getting into The Rehearsal and just loving it, thinking it was just brilliant and a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a similar type of humor from Nathan For You to The Rehearsal, but in The Rehearsal, the joke is pointed at Nathan much more often than the other person.
I think that's what she appreciates more about it. But it was just cool to see that it's not just you talking about it on the internet. I mean, not a whole lot of other people are, but there is someone else.
Well, on one of my videos, everyone kept. One of my videos was titled "The Rehearsal is a Hidden Gem," because it was for episode 3 and it tied into what happened that episode. There was buried treasure, but like all of the comments, I got like 10 comments on that video saying, "How could you say that this shows a hidden gem? It's so like everyone's watching it." I'm like, really? Like. I have never spoken to a single person in real life that has seen the show. I'm always introducing people to Nathan Fielder.
Yeah. Even within the show itself, the very first episode, he's talking to a trivia buff, and he's like, "So you watch a lot of TV?" Yeah. And he's like, "So
so you
I
must
did a
have
TV
seen my show.
You must have seen Nathan For You." And he's like, "No." And then there's
wasn't,
like this
wasn't
awkward
your specialty
pause.
supposed to be TV? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's funny. I think he's
ending to the first episode, so good.
I think
It's
this
so
show, this show in particular has boosted his presence pretty significantly. But he's always been kind of niche, and he kind of has to be able to do the stuff that he does. But
so for myself, once I finally finish catching up on the Orville, if I want to get into The Rehearsal, how much benefit would I get by trying to watch some of Nathan For You first?
You don't need to at all.
I know that I was sure I wouldn't need to, but how much benefit would I get? Would it give me any
It's
edit
a
at all?
completely different thing.
You should watch both because they're both good. You don't need to, like there really isn't any carryover.
Yeah. How much is there of Nathan for you? Just a season?
4 seasons.
4? Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, maybe I won't worry with it. But I was like, because even if there's no direct carryover, if there's even just like getting to know him a little bit better, so that it's even funnier in the rehearsal, I usually like doing those sorts of things, trying to do as much as I can, build from the beginning.
I highly recommend watching both because they're both fantastic. But
Mhm.
you don't need to at all.
Okay. Yeah. With 4 seasons, I might not bother, but if it was just 1 season, I might would have done it. I don't know. We'll see. I'll take a look at it.
It's pretty short. It's like like the 20-minute episodes,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like 10 episodes per season. It's not like a huge commitment.
I'm super behind the times. The other thing that I caught up on this last couple weeks was Schitt's Creek. Hannah had watched it forever ago, but I just barely finally. I'd seen little bits and pieces of it, but I finally watched through all of that.
Yeah, I enjoyed that show. I watched everything that they had on Netflix like 3 years ago, and I haven't like gone to go catch up again. But it's a good show.
Yeah, really well done.
More news though. Warner Brothers is selling the CW for new management because apparently a lot of people have speculated about this, but it's not been confirmed until now. For years, they've been operating at an ongoing loss, and they are completely not profitable.
Wow.
Which is why, if I understand correctly, they sold it for $0 because it's more of a like, yeah, there's at least theoretically some potential there or whatever, but there's like debts and things involved with that brand or that studio, whatever you want to call it, and so you're agreeing. You don't have to pay anything to get it, but you're agreeing to take on all the debts that are associated with it and the fact that it is currently operating at a loss.
Yeah, it's crazy because initially they were making bank with like the Arrowverse and stuff.
Arrow
it started
and the Flash,
Arrow and the Flash started off really profitable, and
Even
then
though
it seems like
I didn't
they.
particularly like Arrow, but
I
popular.
didn't. We've talked about it on the show, and it wasn't my favorite, but it was popular.
Yeah.
I guess they just decided they didn't like making money anymore. But another more Warner Brothers news. The rumor is they're pursuing with the Snyderverse.
Okay.
New management for the DCU. So I think that's a good call. It's also a tough call though, because I was a fan of Zack Snyder's Justice League. I thought it was a huge improvement on the original Justice League. And I would like to see that story continued. I do know a lot of people didn't like it. And the other problem is getting everyone back. I mean, you have Ray Fisher, who's like basically started a war against a lawsuit war against WB. So I don't think he'd come back. And you've got the Flash, grooming kids. So he's probably not coming back. And Batman, it's tough. So
yeah,
it's also
one of the things that I'd heard that it was one of those things. One of the sites that one of the people I listen to, not the kind of person who usually bothers with any of the different rumors and conspiracy theories. He tries to keep it pretty above board, trying to keep an eye out, not going with all the different rumors. But even he pointed out one where he thought there was an interesting correlation. There was an article in one of the trades about looking at the timing of the way things went with Zack Snyder and his attempts at trying to get things going, and then when those were turned down, that's where suddenly things started popping up with Ray Fisher and the people that he would throw things at, which really makes it interesting that if they do decide to go back to it, if Snyder's for any reason somehow involved or on board, it may end up smoothing things out in a really kind of suspicious way. But I mean that's all within the inner politics of like the Ray Fisher and maybe Ben Affleck. Obviously, Ezra Miller, who knows? That's not gonna go anywhere, I'm sure. But
I think if you bring Snyder back, also bring in a good writer, because Snyder's visuals are fantastic, but his writing, often has problems, but I think he's great at directing other people's stuff and making it look like there. You know, say what you will about the movies, but there is no denying that like his visually his movies feel like comic books. Like you could pause those movies at almost any frame and be like, this is a comic book. And that's not always the case for a lot of Marvel stuff.
That's true.
So
yeah, I actually ended up, I was somebody who, because of the just inconsistencies of everything that was going, like just inconsistent like quality levels and enjoyment from the general populace about the DC stuff, I've actually really fallen behind. I saw Man of Steel, and I've seen Wonder Woman and Shazam, and that's about it that I've seen from DC for quite a long time. So I'm thinking when the Flash is getting ready to come out, I might try to catch up and watch Man of Steel again and BVS and the different versions of Justice League and check those all out.
Yeah, I enjoyed Man of Steel. I recently rewatched Man of Steel, and I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't love it the first time.
Same here.
From what I hearing about it a lot, it's a different take, and it probably takes a little bit to get used to. But I can see the good parts of it, but it really is a different take in a lot of ways. So people off. Yeah,
I really liked the stuff on Krypton, which is I think is a lot of people have a problem with that part. I thought that was great. I just didn't like that.
I think the
so
most
much destruction and kind of disconnect between what Superman meant to Clark Kent and to the world. It was kind of like
I think the biggest weaknesses of Man of Steel is the weird like morals of his father.
Yeah.
Saying like, oh, like don't fly and no, let me die. That's dumb. And the fact that Superman was just glooming the whole time, and Superman's like supposed to be happy, you know?
Yeah, but the impression I get is I listen to some of the different complaints that I've heard out there. The impression I kind of gather from that is really that it's the gloomy feel and attitude of it, because I can even
it's
connect.
It's hard to get past.
Yeah,
for sure.
I can even connect some of the concepts like Jonathan Kent and his approach to things. It's not exactly like what we're used to from something like a Smallville or some of those other ones but there is still enough things that connect and ideas that are there that are just maybe interpreted a little bit differently. And in terms of it's all about, he is worried about Clark, he cares about Clark, and he is concerned that humankind isn't ready for it, that humankind will treat him poorly, and this, that, and the other. He takes it a different way, because normally one of his big focuses is, but you still do the right thing because it's the right thing regardless. And that has maybe been minimized a little bit for Jonathan. And as opposed to the like care for what will help him be happy. And then there's a lot of, to your point, Superman being gloomy, which is not the Superman we're used to seeing. But most of the Superman we're used to seeing is usually somebody who's relatively fully fledged as Superman, as opposed to this one, it being such an origin story, him being so kind of out of his depths and trying to figure this all out. So for me, those kinds of excuses work if you can then build into that. But unfortunately, because it was so poorly received, they haven't had a chance to do that.
Yeah.
So we haven't gotten a chance to see a good old fashioned Superman.
Yeah, it's one of those cases. I understand the complaints. I'm even like kind of on that side as well. But it's also not a terrible interpretation of the character.
Yeah,
but
I think I fall kind of just the other side of that line where
it's going to be interesting to see where they take it. If they take it anywhere, but you got to admit, Henry Cavill as Superman is some of the best casting that has ever been done, and I would love to see him return.
Yes.
We're also joined by a special guest tonight. Sorry, she's not in the thumbnail, but we're joined by that Martina girl.
Oh, that one.
This one. Hey.
Hey.
Sorry for the audio. I was trying to.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We've been rambling for a while now, and we haven't even really started the show.
Okay.
Because I think we got to talk about She-Hulk first, right?
Yes.
Sounds good.
It's first off, it's been a long week. For those of you who don't know, Monday morning, I went to the hospital where my wife pushed out a baby.
Yeah.
So I
Congratulations.
have a brand new bouncing baby girl, and that's been fun. I've been at the hospital and we've been home for a little bit, and it's been crazy. After all that craziness, I was invited to the YouTube studios where I'm broadcasting from tonight. It's just been a whirlwind of a day, but I gotta say I'm kind of glad it's over. Pregnancy is really tough on men. I mean, it's just I'm relieved it's over. It's long, hard work. I mean, carrying that load around for 9 whole minutes, making babies is tough. So,
Ow! Sorry, I just got that. I was like 9 minutes. Ow!
Yeah.
Way to sell yourself accurate there. Just
and then to top it off, I had to watch She-Hulk. And
Yep.
I was not planning on watching She-Hulk. I wasn't planning on reviewing She-Hulk because I'm clearly not the target demographic. Okay, this is made for women.
Right.
I think it's unclear.
it has the trademark. So.
I didn't watch Miss Marvel, and I didn't clown on Miss Marvel because it's not made for me. And like even if I did watch it and I didn't like it, I wouldn't dedicate time on my channel or my life, just bashing the show because it's made for little girls, obviously. Okay.
Teenage.
I'd even say it was actually pretty well done for one of those.
Sure.
But, yep.
Right. But even if I watched it and I hated it, I wouldn't dedicate my time to bashing it. And I wasn't planning on watching She-Hulk at all. But Marvel forced my hand because they're roping Daredevil into the show, and along as well as a bunch of other cameos. And Daredevil is the best character that is the best Marvel character that has ever been put on screen. The best adaptation, hands down.
I like Spider-Man.
And they're bringing back Charlie Cox, and they're putting him into She-Hulk. So now, Marvel, this is your fault. Okay, you're pulling in someone who wasn't planning on bashing your show. But you're forcing me to watch it. And what you are forcing me to watch is literally the worst garbage I have ever seen on screen. I hated every second of She-Hulk, and I will be dedicating my channel to destroying the show. I'm serious.
I have seen
It's
way
not-
worse on TV. by the way.
Okay,
Way worse.
Marvel.
I mean,
This
did
is
you
the
watch
low
Supergirl? Especially those last couple of seasons of Supergirl. Did you watch that?
I did
I
not
kept watching it.
because
I
it
did
wasn't made for me. It was made
Boy,
for
that
lesbians.
That got real rough.
So-
I mean, not even. You can have some plenty of woke or whatever you want to call it, like progressive stuff. There was something, I don't even know what it was about that Supergirl show that just kept rubbing me the wrong way. And I'm like,
okay.
you who watch, compared to Alan over here, I am relatively pretty easygoing.
You're pretty positive, yeah.
Pretty positive. I don't get bugged by a lot of that stuff nearly as easily. Boy, that one really started just making me feel awful. Ugh, yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
But She-Hulk is the worst, by far the worst thing that Marvel has ever made. Okay.
Yes, hands
And
down.
it's not just that I didn't like it. It actively pissed me off. And the show goes out of its way to constantly bash on men. The second line of dialogue from the show is, you're a man and you're useless.
Yep.
Also, in the context of that scene, why would she say that? She was practicing her closing arguments.
Yeah.
Finished them, pointed to the man, you were useless there. What was he supposed to do? Interrupt her?
He was supposed to interrupt her and mansplain.
Right. Oh, he was supposed to come in and
He actually
mansplain
was.
so
If
that
you watch
she
the-
could strawman him. Got it.
if you were watching the subtitles, he was actually throwing in comments in the middle of her closing argument practice, but it was you could not hear it. So there's issues there, but I think that there was something else going on with that. Yeah,
That's
Okay.
weird.
But your second, like you open the show saying men are stupid for no reason. Okay, and her character.
I also still took a totally different message out of that, but yeah.
And then she spends the entire episode just bashing on Bruce Banner.
Yep.
Saying that he's a stupid dum-dum. She almost kills a bunch of guys for catcalling her, and then gets mad when Bruce tries to teach her to control her anger. And she's like, I'm so good at controlling my anger, I do it infinitely more than you, even though she literally almost just killed 3 guys.
Yeah, I have a way that could have been fixed. That whole
Okay.
bar scene.
And we'll hear that afterwards, but the fact is they didn't fix it. Okay? Okay, Martina? I don't care about how it could have been good.
I thought
Because this show could have been good. She-Hulk is a great character.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's lots of potential here. The scene that most people are complaining about is the one I already referenced, where she's like, I'm infinitely better at controlling my anger than you because I do it infinitely more than you, right? You could tell an interesting story about workplace discrimination against women, or you could tell that story and not do it at the cost of the male character who has done nothing wrong. But she has to put in the line, I do it more than you.
And there was a line too that says, so I'm better than you then? And he's like, well,
constantly.
no, that's not
So
exactly
I'm better than
the case.
you. I'm better than you. Also, she's not interesting. My wife fell asleep. I said I asked my wife to watch the show so I could get a female's opinion. And I'm like, look, I obviously hate the show, but I'm obviously a man and it's not made for me. Do women who this show was apparently made for like it? She fell asleep. Okay.
She also just had a baby.
Yeah.
But,
Right. And she didn't mind the story that they're trying to tell either about. She was like, it didn't bother me as much, the whole like discrimination stuff, because she's experienced that in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fair. And that's not why I'm mad. My mad is that I'm upset because they're choosing to tell that story by tearing down the male character at the same time.
Can I just toss in? I hinted this a little bit earlier too. To me, the way I interpreted that is that she thinks that's the way that she's perceiving it and projecting it. But I as the audience was sitting there saying, well, I know that she's not completely accurate about that. So you're saying that I'm better, and he's like, well, no, you're just different. And so she may be coming away with she thinks she's better because she can do X, Y, or Z, but he's just like, no, it's just that you're different.
Yeah.
So I think that the show is not
a possibility. I understand that line.
Yeah,
I understand that line where like, oh, it's probably her character is,
but
misinterpreting.
That does make her more unlikable.
It makes her extremely unlikable. Why would you do that to your main character?
What I'm looking for, I think, actually is for, and this is where I hope they're going with it. They probably won't, to your point. But what I'm hoping they'll do with it, because again, they're setting up for, she's like, oh, I've got this totally under control, and then finding out that it's not as easy as she thought. And even though she may have some things under control in a different way than Bruce, because she is different than him. There's a lot of her being able to be like, oh, there was more to this than I thought, or there's still stuff that I have to learn that maybe I'm not so much better than you, or not better than you in the ways that I was thinking that I was. I'm hoping.
And if
maybe I'm hoping
they wanted to tell that story, though, they needed to spend time with her before the change, establishing her as an interesting character, because they didn't do that. So you don't know what she's like as a lawyer. Your first introduction to her is this horrible person.
Yeah, and Jared, I agree with you there, but the problem is they don't back up that.
They never tell her she's wrong. They're never going to tell her she's
because
wrong.
The rest of the episode, all of her training, she's doing it. Everything that she's doing is better than the whole.
She throws the rocks farther. She takes.
Then he throws the rock even further because he was barely trying.
The fight is even, though. And she's
he,
had
he
no
was holding her
experience.
back one-handed, being like, "Yeah, no," and she's able to keep getting licks in. But I think that he still mostly dominated that fight. But he was more just trying to be like, "Stop," and she was more like, "Get out of my way." So
Okay.
her getting away was I think more because he was trying to not be
It's
as
biological though,
I
because
suppose.
even her blood is better than Bruce's.
and not better.
He
Just
used
different.
her blood
Again,
to heal
that's-
his arm.
Yeah.
Again, it's not better. It's different. That's the key thing for
It's
me. 'Cause That's
better.
what Bruce is always saying.
Okay, it's better.
Is he just saying it's just different because he's insecure about it being better?
That,
Yeah.
that's
They
how
did-
it
they
came
did play
across,
that-
yeah.
That
comedy
scene,
on that a
that
little
scene
bit,
was
but
implying that scene wasn't implying she was wrong. It was implying that he was overly sensitive.
Exactly.
I-
Yeah.
That's fair. I chose to take it more that way, and that is me
But
projecting.
you're
out there. That's
wrong,
like,
Jared.
no. Yeah.
You're choosing.
No, I'm
you're
not wrong.
putting
The show is wrong.
blinders on your own eyes.
You're just different.
I'm not wrong. The show's wrong.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah,
interpreting the show
you're
correctly, but
literally-
I am correct.
Well, I'm choosing not to see these glaring deficiencies. No, I'm just joshing you. But so do you know the actual origin of She-Hulk?
Initially,
Yeah.
there was a car accident. And
She
didn't
gets
actually
into an
get
accident.
a direct infusion because that was the only way to save her, or something like that, right? As opposed to it kind of just whipped on her and I guess was
She
radiation.
gets into an
A
accident
little long.
and she's going to die. And because
Mhm.
they have a rare blood, the only way to save her is for Bruce to give her an infusion of blood, saving her life, but also turning her into a Hulk. But you can't have a man save a woman anymore.
Ugh.
So instead of Banner turning his bracelet off and turning into the Hulk and saving his cousin, she rips a car door off its hinges and pulls Banner to safety.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
he
she was like-
accidentally
She was
spills
unharmed from that,
he
too.
accidentally spills one drop of blood onto a scrape, and she instantly transforms into a Hulk. That's not even like a long, like a werewolf transformation, right?
Yeah.
This show felt like excruciatingly slow and yet incredibly rushed simultaneously. And I don't understand it. They rushed from so many plot points that they just skipped over, and it still felt like it was too long.
It makes me wonder if they, because
Hold on,
I had heard
hold on.
rumors. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, Mark's saying, well, Jared was wrong about Elantris. Of course he's going to be wrong about Hulk.
No, he's saying that you should give this one to me because I'm so wrong about Elantris.
Not
You
a
should let me
chance.
take. No. Well, I'm pretty sure that the bag of rocks that was referenced last week was directed at me. So, all that being said, oh shoot, what was my point going to be? She-Hulk is awesome. No, I'm just kidding. Never mind. I don't remember what it was.
Well,
I had something else I was going to add.
While
to
you're
that,
collecting your thoughts, I'll just say that viewers of the show will know that I have been more agreeable than my brother here on
Well,
most
that
of
takes
the
my
things.
brother.
There's
David, the
criticisms
term
that
is
I've
shill.
liked. You call it what you want. But for the most part, everything we've watched up until now, be it Star Wars or Marvel, whatever, I've more enjoyed than disliked. I found things that I didn't like to nitpick against, but more of the stuff I've enjoyed. This is the first one that I'm struggling to find a single thing that I like about this entire show. I don't like how they handled any of it.
Yeah,
It
to
was
me, and maybe it's also because I'm currently living in California and dealing with all that. That this is not as bad as some of the stuff that I feel like I see around me all the time. So maybe that's why I can embrace it a little bit more. I realized I remember what the other thing I was going to say is I've heard that apparently they were originally going to have this origin story told in like episode 8 of the show.
Yeah, they said that episode 1 was completely reshot.
And so it's very possible that there's something like that. I actually kind of think that they should. It's usual. It's been pretty common for a lot of these shows to air with 2 episodes to begin with,
Yeah.
so that you get a chance to kind of get a feel for more than just like half an hour, just a little quick clip of it. So it's one of those things where like I'm actually wondering if that would have made a little bit of a difference, because what they did have of the outside of her origin, the stuff before, I actually didn't mind most of the stuff before. There was a little bit of extra like "you're stupid, go away" that was but and then once she was in the courtroom, you got like the end of the one person's closing argument. She stands up, and then Jamil from A Good Place, she just busts in, and then she pulls out and punches her, and that's the end of the episode. And it just felt very weird, that last little bit on the end of the episode. I'm like, that one I will say I felt like it felt rushed in a way where it's like, I don't get what's going. Like, I get the general concept of somebody busts in and she punches them.
Yeah,
but it feels like
what was her goal? She just shows up at the end. It felt like it was supposed to be a bank heist.
Yeah,
like someone breaks in. But what I'm trying to think, what would be the point of this villain breaking in? And the only answer is she's trying to jailbreak the guy who's going to be convicted.
Maybe,
but that doesn't make sense. They're doing closing arguments.
Yeah.
So they don't know that he's going to be convicted. He could get off. Wouldn't you wait for the verdict and then break him out?
And that's one of the things.
Any other explanation is she's just causing havoc for no reason?
Yeah, because you can have somebody bust in, and that kind of be a cliffhanger of like, oh dang, something's going down. Because what I think they really wanted was she was going to decide to never Hulk out in public so that nobody had to know, and this was a thing that made her have to Hulk out in public, so it's out and about. That's the reason they had it. But it was really weird because it felt like the way they presented it, and I don't know enough about the way that you structure and edit things, but it felt like there was there was more story that we should have been aware of or known with what was going on there, as opposed to if you have like, whoa, what's going on? Oh my goodness, and you cut to that, or I don't know. You could have done it
through the wall and doesn't even monologue, doesn't explain why she's there. She just breaks through the wall, and then instead of helping, She-Hulk talks about clothes for 2 minutes.
I don't think it was that long.
It
but
wasn't
you're
quite
right.
2 minutes.
If you're gonna make a strong, empowering female show, don't you want to avoid those kind of cliches?
There were
Did you like hearing her talk about her shoes instead of fighting the bad guys? Let me take off my stilettos.
Which I mean, they had so many of those female movie tropes.
I know.
There were so many.
It was embarrassing. I was like,
it was gross.
I was like,
I've heard very little, but I've heard a few people say that they felt they were like, oh, that's so true, or this, that, or the other, and a lot of females being like, oh yeah, that feeling like it was a accurate, like basically being like they were okay with the stereotype being presented there because they felt like it was representation for them.
That bit about her being concerned about her outfit, like I didn't mind that. I was like, oh yeah, you have your favorite power blazer that you do your.
It was believable, leave it to the woman to leave people's lives at danger because she doesn't want to get her dress dirty.
She only wanted to leave their lives at danger.
I thought it was a very accurate representation of women. I liked it.
I think that shouldn't have been what was holding her back, though.
But it was.
Yeah.
They could have said, "No, I don't want people to know I'm the Hulk," and her character says, "But it doesn't matter. People need your help, and with great power becomes great responsibility."
Which was her.
And then
her
she busts through her suit, and then you could make. Here's the thing: you could make the same joke after.
Exactly.
You'd be like, shoot,
this
was a $300 dress,
So,
and then he could have made a comment going to her advisor or whatever and say, I need a spandex business suit or something like that.
I do think it's interesting that they make a whole thing about needing spandex and all that, but she and I get it. You can't have her actually ripping out of her clothes, whatever. But at the same time, they never do have that. So you're like, but then she doesn't need the spandex. Are you going to comment on the fact
too much to ask? Is it too much to ask for some realism in these kind of scenes? She should have been a lot less disrobed after that transformation. And I personally, I would like to see more realism in these She-Hulk transformations. I want to see some bosoms. Okay.
So, okay. I just like last week, I've got a pretty short time.
Yeah.
And as much as like I kind of enjoyed it and I'm trying to defend
Okay.
She-Hulk here, the thing I really want to talk about is our other main topic, and I only have a little bit of it. So
Okay.
Well,
I mean, as long as
Martina-
everybody else is talking, but I want to just
Martina
make
came
it.
on here for She-Hulk. Did you want to bring in
I'm
your?
good.
my-
If Jared doesn't have a lot of time, he can do.
Okay.
his-
My two other big gripes is did you hear the closing arguments of the bad guy?
They
It
were,
was-
they were pretty
it was
nonsensical.
I remember I listened to him,
It
but
was
yeah.
laughable. I will save it for later because it connects to an article. Okay. But the biggest thing I had an issue with is the complete destruction of Captain America.
Yeah.
Since
That
he's
was
dead
pretty
now and can't
ridiculous.
defend himself, we are going to drag his character through the mud and talk about his ass. Did you see his ass? It would be such a shame if he didn't bang a bunch of chicks.
Yeah, which is
And-
totally. that would
And
not
she
be
was just barely complaining about being objectified.
Yep.
And it's
They
now
also
Marvel canon that he lost his virginity to the dancing girls.
Yeah.
Even though during the movie he's repeatedly rebuffing sexual advances from women because he's in love with Peggy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Shut up.
I agree
Go
with.
screw yourself, She-Hulk.
I do agree with the issues that you have with that. The only thing that I will I guess counter what you're saying is that for most of the people watching this show, that doesn't take down his character in their eyes. It builds it up, but it's for people like us who we feel like that's a good thing about Captain America, that he was at least good and nice and whatever, and was a virgin until whatever age. But for everybody else, they're like, oh, good, just like she was, because there's a lot of people who would be probably feeling that same thing. So I agree with you. I think it's stupid. I think it was unnecessary and horrible, but whatever.
I hate
Was
it.
Hulk there whenever Captain America came back from the time?
Yes.
thingy,
Well,
and
he
he's
was there
old,
to
and
say
he's like,
goodbye.
Yeah, and then so he
So he
said,
knows
oh,
that
yeah,
he-
I got
he
married and had
knows.
kids. So
He
he knows.
knows.
He's like, no, he married Peggy. It's fine. Like, why couldn't he just say that?
Yeah. Exactly. So,
Because this show is a comedy.
Yeah.
So.
But not only that, they also took digs at Iron Man too.
Yeah. They said he's just too drunk.
Yeah. He said he helped me build this bar and we hung out a lot, but
But he did
was
more
drunk most of the
drinking than
time.
he did helping. He just sat at the bar all the time.
It's like, why do you have to? You're tearing down Hulk, you're tearing down Iron Man, you tear down Captain America. Why can't you just have awesome female characters and take the mantle there? Why don't you have to destroy everything that came before?
Because
you?
it's about the symbol. It's the symbol of tearing down the male characters to establish the female characters. They don't actually care about writing strong female characters. They care about tearing down the men. And that's the problem I have with She-Hulk. But I could keep talking about this for a long time, and we're going to go back. We're going to come back to it. But Jared wants to talk about the Orville. So, and
Let's
he didn't even. So you're halfway through season 2. Just tell us about the Orville, and we'll do bad takes after you leave.
I am just floored at how freaking good this show is.
Freaking good, right?
I've always heard people talk about, the Orville, it's this kind of goofy comedy spoof of Star Trek, but it's like really, really well done and kind of like just like Star Trek anyway, but it's a goofy. And I start the first 3 episodes and I'm like, there's maybe 1 or 2 jokes, and some of the style of jokes are different than what you would usually get in a Star Trek show. But like Star Trek shows have humor in them, and this was not littered with tons and tons of jokes. It had funny-ish bits within just this is just a Star Trek show, and it is so good that it just. I have been one who, again, I'm the positive guy. I take everything pretty positively and I go with it. So I've enjoyed a lot of the newer Star Trek that I've seen. I haven't seen like Picard. I've only seen the first season of Discovery. I haven't seen Strange New Worlds. But I've seen all of the J.J. Abrams.
You've seen Lower Decks?
Movies. I haven't seen Lower Decks.
Don't see Lower Decks.
I've missed a bunch of those. But all that being said, like I've enjoyed what I've seen. It's been okay. And it wasn't until I went back and started watching this show that I'm just like, oh, that's right. this is good Star Trek.
Used to be good.
Oh my gosh, because you have like that the third episode in, or was it the first or second episode in, and you're dealing with the Mothans and their gender changing on the baby, and you're just like, and it's not giving you a clear and direct like this is the right answer. It has these people see this answer, these people, but you can understand where these people are coming from, and even if we personally might still disagree with them, we can understand. We can present the fact that there are reasonable arguments for why they're going to do it this way, even if in the end overall we're still going to make a commentary on the fact that this culture may be backwards in their perception and belief about women, but then we also aren't going to like hold it over their heads that they went with this. Like obviously Borda still continues to struggle with that to some degree or another with their relationship, but overall like they still just love their son. They're like, it is what it is and I will just go with it. And then you have the other one that I know really just floored me at how Star Trek-y it was the episode in season 2 where Isaac goes on a date with the Doctor. And you've got everything that you explore with data. I remember seeing something, an article, again, I didn't read it, but saying something about the season 1 of episode 1 of season 3 does something with Isaac that Star Trek could never do with Data. So I'm looking forward to getting to that. But already I'm like, you are doing the things with Isaac that you couldn't do with Data, which I will say, I have looked online several times, and I am still not convinced that is not Brent Spiner under that suit doing that voice. Oh my god!
Well, you
I swear
see
the entire time, the first couple episodes, I'm like, that's Brent Spiner. They got Brent Spiner in this.
They get the real actor. They get the real actor to play his human version in the simulator.
And it was very, very good. And just that whole thing with him in the simulator, and like you get to explore the idea of what first dates are like. You get to explore the ideas of like love for robots and like the breaking down maybe a more mechanical version of what love might be besides emotion. And like just it's so good. I cannot
fantastic.
rave enough about the show. And I've been getting my wife to watch it. She's not a big sci-fi person, and she has been loving it as well. Like she enjoyed Firefly, but she's seen little bits of
Firefly's not a sci-fi. It's an action adventure in space.
Yeah. But
it's a
like,
western, dude. It's
gosh,
good.
this thing is so good.
It's a space western.
When Isaac and the Kalons, his species, and they go to their world, and you're just like, uh-oh, this is gonna go badly, and I kind of could tell that he was gonna be ending up coming around, but oh gosh, man,
it keeps going. Season 3 is some amazing stuff with it.
And I've been hearing you guys saying that season 3 takes a turn and it loses all the comedy, and I'm like, I don't even feel like there's that much comedy that could or should be lost.
It doesn't lose the comedy. It just I love seasons 1 and 2, but season 3 just elevates everything so much. Yeah. It's literally some of the best television I've ever seen in my life. Season 3 is incredible.
Here's a great example. This is one of the bits that my wife just died over and loved. Was again in that episode with the Isaac and Claire's first date, when Isaac goes to Gordon and John and says, like, he's asking about going on a date and what that should look like and this, that, and the other, and then it smash cuts to them running through the halls, because you're like, in actual Star Trek, this is where it is that different. In actual Star Trek, the characters are they take themselves a little too seriously, so even though you would have some humorous bits that might come out, you wouldn't have them running on the ship and then coming in, oh my gosh, they're going on a date, oh, Isaac and it was hilarious to watch that, but it was because it was grounded. These people are like real people. They're not as hoity-toity as the Star Trek people, but then you still have a lot of that because they have a very Star Trek-y society, you know?
The comedy that is there is there for a reason, and it's comedy based around the sci-fi premise. Like the best example is season 1, where they're teaching Isaac about practical jokes, and so he chops off one of their legs, and it's hilarious, but it doesn't break your immersion of the world, because you're like, well, yeah, that's what he would do.
Yeah, I mean, for a
And he
robot,
doesn't
didn't love
understand.
that,
He's like,
you know?
like, that's not a joke, Isaac. And he's like, I don't understand. I did something unpredictable, and like, I did, like, were you not surprised? Like,
Well,
put it back.
and
Put
they
my
play on that.
leg back,
Yeah,
Isaac.
they make a joke with him with his leg too, and like
Yeah.
him being like, "Oh, it was so good." And then the other thing they bring it back there because they like it's episodic, but it stays consistent. Like it keeps in mind
Refers back to
the things
old
that
stuff.
happen.
Yeah.
So like when they're on the Kalon world, they're like, yeah, they were making fun of Isaac all the time. They were being so mean to him, and
Yeah.
it's like there's an interesting dynamic there of like the subtle difference between bullying versus just kind of a camaraderie kind of
Yeah.
thing. That it's a lot of it's going to be how that is perceived and how it's received, and knowing where there's a line and if somebody tells you those sorts of things. But they play with that and they see how like somebody can interpret it one way. The other one, I think the last one that I just watched was the one where they unearth the time capsule. And there's the cell phone that he gets, and I'm like, that is so good. And the
Yes.
explanation about what a person is, and going from like
Dude,
building
Jared,
on
Jared,
relationship.
Jared,
Wait,
you are going to love season 3.
Oh
Okay?
no!
Because
oh,
all
They unearthed
all
that
of-
cell phone in season 2.
yeah.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Okay. So all of the things you're mentioning, like, oh, I really love this, and every single thing you've mentioned are things they just
It's
turn
expounded
up to
on,
11
Oh,
in season 3.
yes.
It's so good.
I am so excited. I am so mad that I haven't been able to keep watching these last couple of days. These last couple of days have been a little crazy for me, but I am dying to get back to watching the show because it is mind-blowingly good. It is Star Trek to the max. But it's funny and it just works so well. And I've been telling everyone that I see, go watch the Orville. It is so good. I am so happy that I finally bit the bullet and decided to watch this. It's so good.
I honestly wish that we were on track and we picked Orville to be one of these ones that we talk about every week because it's so good.
So good. I'm trying to think if there were any other like big standouts that I loved. Like,
have you gotten to the one with they go to the Selayan world?
The one where that's
the end of season 2.
Went to the Selayan world with the first Selayan security officer.
Yes.
In the one where they do the time capsule, you have Tuvok from Voyager, and then in the one where they go to the Selayan homeworld with her because she's losing her strength or whatever, you run into, I think it was Neelix from I think it's Enterprise. So there's a couple of Star Trek alums, and I think I saw lists of some other Star Trekkers that show up, but I'm like, that was so good. I am really sad that they ditched Alara. She was really cool. I was intrigued to see where they went with her. This new girl is fine. I don't mind her, and she's going to have some interesting things, it seems like, to play out. Yeah. But I miss Alara. And I heard she comes back for a couple of episodes here and there.
She comes back for a cameo.
She comes back in the last episode of season 3. So
when she left, I did a little bit of Googling around, and that's when I found out the spoiler for what happens at the end of season 3 with Isaac and the Doctor. And then again, just the concept. So I don't even know a whole lot of the specifics of it, but it did make me. It calmed me a little bit when they were ending their relationship in that episode, and then hearing that there's a couple of things with some alternate timelines.
Spoilers for
like that. Yeah.
But still, you knowing what happens in the last episode there spoils a lot of what happens throughout the season.
Fair. Well,
especially the first episode of season 3.
I am just dying to check it all out. I can't wait. I think I've got 2 or 3. I think I've got 3 or 4 more episodes in season 2, and then I'll be starting season 3. So I'm looking forward to coming back and giving my thoughts on the rest of it, since you guys are going to probably move forward and do some more.
Yeah, we'll talk season 3 spoilers after you go. Because oh my goodness,
it's so good. All right, well, I'm going to get out.
It hasn't officially been renewed for season 4 yet. But
I really hope, because again, I've been watching it here. They put it on Disney Plus, and I hope that's getting a big influx of things. Yeah, I literally just this morning told my brother about it because he was like, "Oh, but it's not on it." I'm like, "No, it's on Disney Plus."
But did you in what world did you think that this is what you would have gotten from Seth MacFarlane?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I still swear, anytime that I have
the
seen
Family
him,
guy.
half
Okay,
of his mouth, I'm just like,
I enjoy some Family Guy. Okay, but it's a guilty pleasure. Okay.
Yeah.
The Star Wars episodes, the Star Wars Family Guy trilogy. That's
I finally did check those ones out a little while back.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. I am falling more and more in love with Seth MacFarlane. I've seen little bits and pieces of Family Guy. It's not my favorite, but I enjoy some of the bits. Seen little clips here and there of Ted, but never really bothered watching it because I was like, it's a little bit much for me.
He literally tricked Fox into letting him do
a Star
Trek show, and it's not. He did a really good job because he wanted to do a Star Trek, and Alex Kurtzman turned him down because he's a moron.
Well, we're all the better for it now.
So he goes to Fox. I'm going to do a parody show. Trust me, it'll have jokes. I promise. And then he makes this show, and he did a really good job of building the world so that it feels like Star Trek, but it's not like a one-to-one thing, and he can tell his own stories. Like you've got it's almost a one-to-one. You've got the Kalon, which are the Klingons. Right, or not the Kalon. Sorry, what's the name of the Krill? The Krill are like the. The Krill are
like the. Now you got me all confused.
I just said
Klingons.
The Klingons
and the Romulans. A little bit like from DS9.
Klingons were more like the Mocklins, I thought.
Yeah, the Mocklins.
Because then you have Mocklins that are a little bit like the Klingons
visuals,
too.
Yeah, the Mocklins look a lot more like Klingons.
Well, and if you think about it too, Worf in Next Gen, he was always that really big, strong, kind of silent, always make so very
So Klingons are Mocklins, and then Krill are Romulans, and then the Kalons are kind of a new race, but based off the android.
And they kind of turn out to be a little bit Borgish too. Maybe not quite
there's.
So season three introduces.
I thought I heard somebody say something about Borg, and I was like, "Oh, hey, cool! See, they're invading like the Borg did." That's what I thought it was.
They introduced their own version of
the actual Borg.
Season 3 introduces
creature thing,
a Borg, but it's more like organic.
It's like an organic hive mind virus. It's
interesting.
It's pretty cool.
It's just, I am loving this show so much. I am missing. I see Jacob was saying Alara was a good character. I'm missing Alara. I was really excited for them to do more with her. I'm excited. I'm interested in Tala, I think is her name. The new.
I like her story arc though. I like Alara's arc of deciding, hey, I want to spend time with my family.
I do. I agree. I agree with that. It's one of those things where it's like I kind of wish that could have come in at the end. I love. Oh, that's the other Star Trekker that came in was her dad, being the Doctor from Voyager, which I always love seeing him pop up. Just so good. I got to get out of here though. But thank you guys for letting me do a little bit of raving on my side of it as far as I could for the Orville, and you guys can talk about how amazing season 3 is. And in the week when I have finished it, I'll watch the rest of the episode. And
if you want to see that actress that plays Alara, she's in Prodigal Son on HBO. It's like a murder mystery.
It's also rare that Jared and I have the same opinion on something.
And to this extent too, because like we both I enjoyed Raised by Wolves, because we were overall talking about the good things about it on here. I would look for, I tend to find myself playing devil's advocate sometimes. And so, I'll be like, oh, well, there was this, and it was this, and this wasn't. But overall, I did like that. But yeah, no, I'm 100% with you on this one. There's no problems here. It's just so good.
Okay,
oh my god.
Go be with your family.
All right. Have a good one, you guys. Thanks. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
No, tell your wife I said,
Will do.
Martina. Yeah. Why are you? No one knows what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're the only one.
Why are you doing it on my?
You're talking about.
It's a special thing. His wife is my best friend. I had to do it. I'm sorry.
That's great. Keep it between you two then. Goodness gracious.
Okay.
Yeah. So do you want to keep talking about Orville a little bit? You want to go back to?
Let's segue with some bad takes because it will bring up a couple more notes of She-Hulk that I wanted to rave about, and then we'll go into season 3 spoilers. Okay.
Nice.
Okay. All right. Okay. Let me find the video. We're gonna do some screen. Sorry, I have too many videos now. Some bad takes.
Screen rants. Bad takes.
Screen Rant asks, is Tom Holland too young to play Bond 26? Yes.
No. Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe like an origin story or something.
No.
That would be kind of cool.
No.
No?
No.
Yeah, because we just saw him as Spider-Man.
No. Yeah. He's too young, guys. Okay, and even if
he's also
he's
too
old
male.
enough, he looks too young. Okay. I like Tom Holland, but no.
Plus, like, how would we fix in our mind? In our mind, he's like this goofy young kid, and then now he's gonna be Bond.
That's a good point.
But also, counterpoint, no. So,
Now, Chris Pratt, on the other hand, maybe.
No, here's the thing.
No, he's
No,
still.
I love
goofy.
Chris Pratt, but
Also goofy.
James Bond has to be British. You can't cast.
That's
an
true.
American.
Yeah, that's true.
And he has to be like.
See, guys,
sexy.
it's not
Oh.
it's not bigotry. Okay, it's not that I don't like women. I just don't like swapping roles. Okay.
Yeah.
James Bond is British. I would be upset if they cast an American, just like I'm upset that you cast a black woman as a redhead in The Wheel of Time. Okay?
Yep.
Here's another one. Jurassic World Dominion used the most practical effects of the whole trilogy, which is impressive because it still looked terrible. Do you remember the scene where they're in the tunnels and they have that alligator dinosaur chasing them?
Dimetrodon, yeah.
It was a practical effect.
Yeah, that puppet was pretty bad.
It couldn't move its neck.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be intimidating. Yeah. Jurassic Dominion World dinosaur sucked. It was a movie for dum-dums.
Movie for dum. Okay.
I mean, I applaud them. I applaud them for trying to use practical effects, but they still covered a lot of it up with CGI, and they didn't do a good job with the practical effects anyway. So, Black Panther 2's box office can fix a disappointing MCU trend. What trend, you ask? Of completely bombing in the box office. I don't think Black Panther's gonna fix that, guys.
Yeah.
2 words. Chadwick Boseman. So, also, sorry, a 3rd word, dead. It's not going to make the same money.
Yeah,
so,
that's unfortunate.
It's unfortunate. Fantastic actor. I loved his performance. But this is not going to save Marvel. Did you guys know Thor Love and Thunder had the biggest second week drop of all time for Marvel, and very impressive when compared to other movies. So it had an opening weekend that was good. It dropped over 60% week 2. Literally week 2, Top Gun Maverick was beating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Top Gun Maverick had already been out for like 4 weeks.
A month, yeah. Yup.
Yeah. So there's that. Stop making bad movies, please.
Yeah.
Doctor Who forgot the Daleks' most dangerous weapon.
It better not be the plunger arm.
It also forgot a lot of other things
That's true.
about Doctor Who, like how to make the show entertaining.
Yeah. Martine and I just, on that note, Martine and I just finished the most recent season.
Why?
It was very convoluted.
Because
Why?
I'm a completionist. I like to finish things and see things through. But yeah, it was a complete hot, confusing mess. Yeah.
I just started rewatching it. Speaking of, I was doing little short reviews of Doctor Who, but I just got real busy. I'm gonna pick them back up, I promise. But
Yeah, those were fun. Keep doing them.
I like doing them. It's a lot of work though, and you can tell I've been a little busy. So
Yeah, just a little bit.
I've been a little busy. Okay, I mean I'm in California right now, broadcasting from YouTube headquarters. Okay,
Yeah, crazy.
this looks good though, right? Right. So I think I'm going to paint this wall green.
That's a good idea.
Because the problem is my camera's too close. So I've got literally like a split screen. But it kind of looks cool. I like it. But I could, if I painted this wall green, then I could literally do all kinds of green screen stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
There's more bad takes though. Captain America confirms his shield's coolest ability in history. It blocks stuff.
Because that's what shield.
That's a pretty cool ability.
Same ability of pretty much every shield.
So I guess technically he used it to surf across lava.
Oh.
Which, I mean, is an interesting use. I wouldn't call it its coolest ability in history because it's essentially just blocking stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like a shield do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It wouldn't make the best boat. It's like a bowl. If anything gets in there, it's
what if he didn't make it the whole way? You know, it's like, oh shoot, it starts have to paddle. You know, like
it's so small.
He has to pull off his gloves because they're burning through the lava. Yeah, this doesn't look like it would actually protect you from anything.
Yeah. I mean, maybe if you were like pulled by a helicopter or something, you know, like surfing on the.
How did he get the momentum enough to get across this gap?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because look, he falls, and then
he falls into the lava.
And then to go into like
the lava is moving, so he literally just stood there and let it fall.
Huh?
That's dumb.
That's weird.
But isn't he heavy? Doesn't he have like muscle mass? Wouldn't that be
a
lot for the shield?
A little bit.
Here's the thing: like, regardless of how strong the shield is and its resistance to melting, there's not enough displacement to create the buoyancy needed to keep you out of the lava.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is a good point. Its coolest ability is when it dissipates energy, like when you hit it with Thor's hammer. This is just it's dumb.
Yep. Yeah, that's just about as bad as when the new Star Wars comics they used a lightsaber to like slow down a fall. They just like stabbed it in a cliffside and slowed down the fall because of the lightsabers. It's like that's not how lightsabers work.
Or using them to fly by spin real fast.
Yeah, that too.
All right, we're almost done with Screen Rant articles, but we've got some other ones. So back to She-Hulk.
Yes. Okay, I'm glad you got this one. Yeah.
She-Hulk wasn't supposed to be a superhero show. Originally, no, it wasn't. Originally, the writer was pitching a movie was doing a movie pitch for Black Widow. So she was pitching a movie for Black Widow, and she put She-Hulk in it a bunch, and they were like, "This seems like a She-Hulk movie with Black Widow in it, not a Black Widow movie," and so they didn't hire her because it was bad. And then she started writing a lawyer show.
Right.
Realized she wasn't good at writing lawyer stuff and decided to turn it into the She-Hulk show. This is confirmed. They've admitted this.
Yep.
Instead of getting better at writing legal drama, she's just like,
Or,
we'll just
or
throw a
hiring,
villain in the trial
or
scene.
hiring a director, a writer that could write a legal
That's true.
drama. Yeah, no, they're literally this article describes them in the writers' room and like, oh yeah, we want to make this legal drama show, and then all the writers are like, yeah, we don't know how to do that. We can't write good.
Yeah,
and so
and
they
apparently
we got what we got.
They didn't like stop to do any research because this is a line from episode 1 verbatim. This is the bad guy giving his closing remarks right before the whoever that villain was breaks in and does something.
Yep.
His closing arguments are, and I quote, "I ask you to look only at the facts of this case. You'll see that my client was well within his right to protect his business interest." Should be interests, plural, but he says interest. These accidental deaths were an unfortunate byproduct of an ambitious expansion plan. Did my client know lives would be endangered? That is debatable. And depends on your definition of knowing.
Yeah, why would he even say that? I feel like if he would have if he would have practiced that like she did in front of his legal team, they would have said, "Yeah, just nix that last bit."
They're literally doing the Bill Clinton. Well, it depends on what the meaning of the word is. You know,
Yeah.
Did I have sex with Monica Lewinsky? I did. I'm not doing it anymore. So it depends on what you mean.
Yeah.
So silly.
But I could come up with a better closing argument on the spot. Hey, my client wasn't directly responsible for these deaths. They were extremely misfortunate, but they were caused by unforeseen circumstances that no one could have predicted. And as horrible as it is that these people died, it's not the responsibility. It's not the responsibility is the wrong word there. So obviously, I would practice it before I went for a jury. But it's not the he's not liable for he wasn't the direct cause of their deaths, right?
Yeah.
And then why would you answer this? Did my client know lives would be endangered? That is debatable. If it's debatable, that's what you're supposed to do in court.
Yeah.
You're supposed to do the debate. So he's supposed to say, did my client know lives would be endangered? Of course he couldn't have known. No one could have known.
Right.
Like, this is literally a stupid person talking.
Yeah.
It's so clear they have no idea how court cases work. And they don't even know how they literally don't know how logic works. They don't know how to string together a sentence that a normal person would say in defense of this person. I don't even know what he's accused of doing, right?
Maybe that's still their angle of making a man look stupid because it's male.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It's cartoonish.
Yeah.
No lawyer on earth is that bad.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Did you see
okay
the Johnny Depp Amber trial? Those are some pretty
yeah, those lawyers I think they thought they were gonna win, and so they didn't work hard.
All kidding aside, yeah, that was
so
pretty laughable.
bad.
You quoting the Orville? All kidding aside. Congratulations.
Yes.
It's just the writing is horrible. Here's some more to talk about. So the Captain America stuff that I hate, it's from the top. Kevin Feige approved it, and now they're literally going back and changing canon so that, because we want to see Captain America tap some ass.
Or get his
ass tapped?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? It's come straight from the top from Kevin Feige. We're gonna go back and change it. Yeah, it's totally Kevin Feige pushed the creator to go outside of the box and to do more and more and more. Did you guys laugh during the show at all?
I don't remember.
I didn't.
I laughed at how stupid it was, but
it's literally billed as a comedy, and none of the jokes were funny. What's more like offensive is they've talked about it, and then they took the creators, the guys who wrote Captain America, the first one, the first Avenger, on a tour after they released all this stuff to like back them up. Right? They're like, it's shocking to me that anyone thinks that Captain America was a virgin. I think he loses his virginity. And here's the quote that's most egregious. Where is it? Where is it? Did I get the wrong one?
Is this a quote from the movies or quote from a director?
Walter. It's a quote from the writers of the first Avenger. It's not there anymore. Okay, no, here it is. Sorry about that. So he says, McFeely further explained. Okay, well let's get some context. Okay, Rogers is a Boy Scout. Both writers agree that he probably had sex sometime during the events of the first film, given his experiences as a soldier. I think he loses his virginity. Why do people even think that he's a virgin? Well, then why did the show bring it up? And why did the show have people think he's a virgin? If it's so obvious that he got laid, right? Yeah. And then he says, if you look at it like that, you're going from city to city and you're signing autographs to the likes of the ladies. And he's signing autographs for these ladies. He says it again.
Because if you sign an autograph, you are getting laid.
I've got to imagine that he lost his virginity. Okay. And yeah, I agree. Rogers is not a prude.
But he was a nerdy kid.
Steve Rogers isn't a prude. He may occasionally be presented that way because that's how you presented him. But he's a guy that believes in right and wrong and all these things. But he's not a choir boy. He literally is.
Yeah. He's a
World War II veteran. Of course he got laid.
Yeah. And it's like
he's constantly saying in the first Avengers movie, there's only one God and he doesn't dress like you.
Yeah.
He's literally a choir boy.
Yeah.
And he's always been a symbol of purity and virtue, and
and the film shows him rejecting the women trying to sleep with him.
Yeah.
They're literally being forced to say this to cover for this garbage show.
Yeah. And it's just like even if he's not like a prude, he was still like this nerdy kid, very scrawny kid. And then, all of a sudden he gets these muscles or whatever, and he goes through this huge transformation. But he's still him, you know what I mean? And he's not going to turn into like this womanizer guy overnight.
Some might call it body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know why we get this idea that like every guy has like this like huge assortment of sexual partners throughout their life. Like most people don't have like 50 sexual partners in their life. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
also you're talking about a very different time period.
Yeah.
Where it was the
norm.
Societal norm to be abstinent until marriage.
Yeah,
Obviously, not everyone did that.
Yeah,
but it was improper to kiss, right? Like, So it's not just that, oh, his character was a prude. It's that society was different back then, and Captain America has always stood for those older values.
Yeah.
You know, the kind of values that Hollywood despises.
Yeah. Exactly.
So now we've got to dig up his character and light it on fire on the altar of wokeness. And it's disgusting.
Agreed.
You know what it also does? This stupid joke about him losing his virginity. Screen Rant says, Marvel's Captain America virginity reveal hurts Steve and Peggy's romance.
Wow. A good take.
She-Hulk's Captain America virginity reveal is played for laughs, which didn't work because it wasn't funny. And it hurts Steve Rogers and Peggy's romance in the process.
Yeah.
That's probably the best Screen Rant article I have ever seen written.
I guess the broken clock is right.
Cooper Hood.
Twice a day.
Once again, is this 2 weeks in a row, David?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Is it that same writer?
It's 2 weeks in a row. No, it's a different writer.
Oh.
That we have had a Screen Rant good take, everybody!
Yay.
Screen Rants. Good takes?
So congratulations to you, Cooper Hood. You are a man amongst femboys.
We salute you, sir.
Yeah, because it's about Captain America.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go.
Good.
So, I have one more thing to say about She-Hulk.
Yeah.
And I think my wife Martina has a little thing to add as well. Yeah, but one scene that really bothered me was when she first has her first transformation, right? She wakes up, she's all bruised and cut up, and she walks into the bar and she goes to the bathroom, and then a whole bunch of other females walk in, and they're like, "Oh, who beat you up? Oh, you poor little thing."
And there's a man there.
And then they proceed to put makeup on her face, on her bleeding face. It's like, what the crap?
And they're like, "Oh, honey, whoever did this to you, he does not love you."
Like even if that is the case, the last thing she cares about right now is getting makeup on her face. Like, she's bruised and bleeding, and you're gonna cover up,
clean the wounds first,
exactly.
And then maybe do some touch up.
So
yeah, and if someone has just been abused, like they assume that she's been abused, they're not going to want to be touched. Like, wouldn't.
Yeah. No, that scene in particular, they said they wrote before they wrote the show. They wanted to have a moment where the girl's bathroom was like a place of safety from men.
So
they've said this. They said that we want to have this beautiful moment with women in the girls' bathroom coming together and helping this girl.
It could have been.
Did you notice there was also a man there?
Was it the one in the zebra dress?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a transgender person.
I didn't catch that. Yeah. But my wife turned to me after this scene happened, and we were just like, this is so stupid and unrealistic, and
it's not what you would. If you had been abused, that is not what you would want.
Exactly. But not only that, it's just written off for a classic trope of
there are several tropes that I have a list of here that they.
But my wife came up with. You want to tell them your better version of this scene?
Sure.
It would have fixed it. It would have been so much better.
Okay, instead of like the gaggle of girls that showed up, just one girl walking in like, "Hey, are you okay?" And then and
she's like, "You need one of my tampons," and snaps it in half. It's like, "Break me off a piece of that."
Well, if you break it in half, it's not really as useful.
It's okay. We can share one, and they both like.
Oh gosh!
They both smoke. They smoke their tampons in the bathroom together. Is that? That's how they're used, right?
Go up.
That's what you do with. That's what you do with them.
No, okay, so I think it should have been one girl, right? And this girl's trying to help her, okay? And then, you know, that scene where they're outside, where she's outside and she's getting catcalled or whatever? I think that it shouldn't have been She-Hulk being catcalled. It should have been the friend in the bathroom getting catcalled.
Ooh.
And that's when she's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, she has to protect
that would have been
girl.
really good.
Girl, like she's a good friend and a good person being catcalled. And it would make a lot more sense because she's saying like, oh, I have to control my anger all the time. So of course she would be controlled whenever they're catcalling her. She's like, whatever. But
it's not about.
But she would not be as controlled if it was someone who's.
It's not about good storytelling. It's not about good storytelling though. It's about the message. So.
Yeah. But then what did you tell me about you know, what she pulls out of her purse?
Like a full size
makeup. Well, no, yeah, we said that was ridiculous. But you said, you turned to me and said, you know, if someone walked in on a girl and she was all bruised up or whatever, you wouldn't immediately go put makeup on them, right? You'd say, oh, do you need a Band-Aid? I have a Band-Aid in my thing.
I have some Tylenol in here. And I do have Band-Aids. And it's like, wow, you have everything in your purse. Like, yeah, well, I have 3 kids or something, you know, like some kind of humor like that because females do carry a lot in their purse.
Girls have everything in their purses.
That would have been awesome. You should pull that. Oh, I have a Band-Aid. I have Tylenol. And it's like, oh, you keep that all in your purse? I'm like, oh yeah, I have 3 kids. I keep everything in my purse. You know,
I have a pair of stilettos too. You want to put these on so that you can not help
exactly.
people?
Like,
I thought
you want to
I thought that would have been so much better and more natural than just a bunch of gaggle of women coming up and covering everything with makeup. It's unrealistic. It's stupid.
Yeah, and then they leave her alone to be catcalled too.
Yeah,
that's not what we would have done.
You dress her up and then you leave her there at a bar late at night.
Exactly. That's not what you do when you're trying to help a girl
out. If you
out,
want a place of safety, you would have helped her get home.
Exactly. Like it was like someone who was trying to capture the female sisterhood thing, but then was like, I have no idea what that looks like.
Jacob has a great point here. How about instead of sneaking into the back door and going to the bathroom, go to the front door and say, I've been in a car accident. I need help.
Yeah, but that would be a strong, independent woman asking for help. So you can't have that.
Oh, right. You can't ask for help.
Yeah. Or like one of the girls that came in and was like, oh my gosh, do I need to call the police? Like, are you okay? Is there someone I can call for you? Nothing. It was all about how she looked. Like, heaven forbid a woman look a mess, because that's what we're all concerned about the most is let's pretty her up again. No, it's so stupid.
Yeah.
The show is infuriating.
Yeah.
I hate it.
I have a list of other tropes that went on in the show.
What are your tropes? Give me your tropes.
Okay, so here are the main tropes, and there is a YouTuber that all she does is watch like bad chick flicks, and she goes through it, and she even has like this running gag of like this reel of female protagonists falling down, because apparently that's a thing that we have to do for a protagonist. You have to fall down. Anyway, they didn't do that really in this one. So falling down, the makeover scene, that's in every single chick flick, there's always a makeover scene.
Mm-hmm. Got that in the bathroom.
There's always a dressing room montage. This episode didn't have it, but I'm sure it's coming. It's coming.
Oh, they're gonna try on all kinds of spandex. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then there's catcalling. There's always catcalling.
Yeah.
There's some sort of thing that makes the main character not like other girls. And I think in this show, she puts on like a Led Zeppelin t-shirt. She's like, I'm not like other girls, you know? And I mean, you could argue that that's Bruce Banner's t-shirt that he's lending her, but it's like.
She's also insufferable, so.
Yeah. Okay. And then.
Is that not like other girls?
Well, most girls I interact with are great.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't understand the whole not like other girls thing. Like, there's so much that a girl could be.
Really sets her apart, though, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's always, and then in recent movies that are geared towards women, there's always someone telling the girl to smile, and he's
smile more.
Yeah, and then there's usually some sort of aggressive male predator that, you know, but it's just like
check.
Yeah, it has most of them, and I'm sure there's more.
There's going to be more.
And it's just like, why do we have to keep doing the same stuff? Like in a Marvel movie, I feel like we can let go of all these female chick flick tropes. Like we could just do something different, but like nobody knows how to do something different. Like, oh, the girls won't like it unless we have these tropes in it. It's like, no, it would be refreshing to see something different. But
yeah,
but can't you make a show that men and women would like?
Yeah, I mean they do. It's not like this. We don't enjoy the stuff that's geared towards general audiences. You don't have to.
It's pretty condescending, I think, to women to say they're only going to watch, a Marvel superhero movie with a female lead if we put in all this junk.
Yeah, like I was super annoyed in Wonder Woman when there was the montage, the fashion show that she does with the boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Like
there were other things
much about the fashion. It was so much about the fashion, and then like you were talking about.
There were other things in Wonder Woman 1984 that bothered me a little bit more.
Yeah, when she rapes that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, when she rapes a guy, I think that bothered me a little bit more than the fashion show. For me, it was the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Have you seen Norm Macdonald's joke about that?
No, but
it's on Bill Cosby, because he's on record. He's always praised Bill Cosby as his hero, and then the stuff happened.
Yeah,
he's like, well, no one told me he was going to be a rapist, right? But what's weird to me is everyone. I've heard a lot of people say this. They say the worst thing about it is the hypocrisy. I don't think it was the worst thing. I think it was the raping.
Yeah.
That would be up here.
Definitely right.
And then the drugging, and then the scheming. Those, I think the hypocrisy is pretty far down on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the other thing I want to say about She-Hulk is the fourth wall breaking, Malcolm in the Middle, Deadpool bit did not work. It did not work.
It's also confusing because Bruce acknowledges it.
Yeah.
He's like, they do that scene
weird.
where they both turn to the camera, or he's looking at her talking to the camera. So it's either really a weird choice, or it could be smart. I don't think that Marvel is smart enough to do this, but it could.
Gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, maybe,
and they wanted to do something like that, it could be her version of the alter ego.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna go there, though.
Which they said, I'm so much better than you. I don't have an alter ego, right? But then slowly discovering that she kind of does.
Yeah. It's like, who are you talking to? It's like.
That would be good if they go there and they can bring it in with, she doesn't have to regulate her emotions. She's already well practiced at doing that, because every single woman that you've ever met is just a perfect bastion of mental stability, right? No woman ever struggles with depression or sadness or anger.
Remember the Avengers 1. Right, and Banner goes, "That's my secret, Captain. I'm always angry." Right. Yeah. Apparently, that's all women in existence. They go around just constantly furious because if they don't control their anger, they might just die.
Might literally get murdered is her words. Yeah.
They just get murdered.
I don't know. She didn't explain that.
But the thing is like you survive by being angry, though. I feel like there are certain situations where you're like, you just act like a biatch and then people leave you alone. But I don't know.
I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense.
It's really like you can't be too nice, because
I really hope that there's a scene where, they've already, drug up Captain America's corpse, but he needs to be in this. If they can rope in the multiverse of madness. They can do a zombie Steve Rogers, and they can Marvel be fighting. They can be fighting some space aliens, and then She-Hulk can turn to Captain America and say, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always insufferable." And then I don't know. She can do some things with tampons. I don't know what girls do. So.
Come on. Come on. At least get with the times and say Diva Cup. You know.
Okay, sorry. She can start throwing Diva Cups out at the aliens. Pew, 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 pew. She can do the like the.
That's more sustainable.
The harpy lasers. That's an obscure reference.
That's a very impractical weapon.
Has anyone seen Gentlemen Broncos? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Broncos.
The harpies are shooting lasers. The harpies are shooting lasers from their mammary glands. Such a good movie. I love it.
No, it's so
I love it so much.
Like in Austin Powers.
No.
It's
Austin Powers is better.
The cyborg harpies are shooting lasers from their mammary glands.
Mammary glands, there's a lot of mammary glands. That's a lot of lasers. Not just an apple. You know.
It's good. Oh, you want to explain the biology of your nipples?
Not mine particularly.
Please tell us how do they work?
I have nipples, Jack.
Do you smoke them in the bathroom?
No.
Oh, all right.
We're going off the rails here.
Yeah.
Okay, what next?
The Orville season 3, baby.
Yeah, let's get on some better topic.
We'll end with something happy. I think I missed some.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just one comment. Yeah, the woke. It's just. I'm gonna be making videos on She-Hulk because I hate it so much. But
yeah,
it's gross.
I'm not looking forward to watching the rest of them.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna watch it. I don't really watch the geared towards female stuff.
I'm going to.
Yeah, you're right, bro. I was fully prepared to watch the first episode and say, this show is not for me and not watch it. But you're absolutely right. Them putting Daredevil in it, we have to watch it. I have to know what they do to Daredevil. They're going to emasculate him, or he's going to have a one-night stand with She-Hulk or some crap.
He's probably gonna bang Steve Rogers' corpse.
Yeah,
love is love.
We'll see. Time will tell. Love is love.
Yeah, do they have a necrophilia stripe on the pride?
Yeah,
flag?
we don't have a flag for necrophiliacs.
Yeah. There you go.
Get with the times, everybody. You're bigots.
Let's stop talking about She-Hulk. This is making me sad.
All right, Orville season 3, baby. Holy freaking crap. Episode 1, boom, right out of the gate. Let's make an episode about suicide because that's what people want to see. What the crap, Seth?
Yeah.
Holy cow. Also, did you have to make it the best episode you've ever done?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is wrong with you, man?
Yeah, it was such a good episode. The only thing I was confused about for this whole season is because it had been a while since I watched season 2, and so coming into that, it was the aftermath of this big Kelon war. I'm like, was that something that we were supposed to have seen in a previous episode?
It was the finale of season 2.
Yeah, I didn't remember the finale.
Yeah, I didn't remember that. It was.
You didn't remember the finale of
season
2?
I watched season 2 a while ago, waiting for season 3 to come out. So I didn't remember.
We have one more kid than you, so we are busy.
Oh.
And at the time we watched this, we had 2 more kids than you.
Yeah, we had 2 more kids than you. Now we only have 1 more kid.
That's double the kids that you have.
Yeah, we had double.
Are those hormones making it hard to remember things?
But no,
all that estrogen just jumbles up your brain.
I mean, I already had the kids. I wasn't pregnant.
Yeah, but
we do have a lot of estrogen over here, though. We have 3 daughters.
Oh, yes, I'm outnumbered now too. So
yeah, it's a thing.
2 boys and 3 girls. So,
but yeah, episode 1 of season 3 was really, really good. I was just going by the title, Electric Sheep. I knew it was going to be something to do with the Kelon with Isaac, but it blew my mind at how deep it got and
the things that they were willing to say about suicide, dude.
Exactly. Yeah, the doctor's monologue. I always forget her name.
Claire.
Claire.
I don't remember her last name.
Dr. Claire. Her monologue to Isaac in the end was just so good.
Yeah.
Well, it was to her son, wasn't it?
Well, yeah.
She says to her son.
She talks to her son too, but when she talks to Isaac, she says that there's nothing that's going to be solved by you not being in the world.
Oh yeah.
Is what she said.
Now, there were two good monologues. Yeah. She gave a monologue to her son, and she says, "Suicide is stupid, it's selfish, and there is no problem in existence in this entire universe that cannot get better with time. And when you kill yourself, you're removing time from the equation."
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I do feel like TV shows want to talk about this stuff, but I feel like Orville did it right. The 13 Reasons Why series, I watched that. I didn't watch the second season because I was just like, this is icky. It just
losing a lot of respect, right? But go on.
What?
Go on.
What that I watched 13 Reasons Why? I stopped watching it.
Okay. Okay. You got it back. You're like.
It was icky. It just started.
Okay. Not as high as it was before. Let's back a little bit. Respectometer.
I don't care, Alan.
Maybe if you weren't a woman, it'd be a little higher.
Oh God. Okay, so the 13 Reasons.
I have to lean into the. I'm a misogynist because I didn't like She-Hulk, so I'm leaning into it. Kind of like how they co-opt. You know how they co-opted the N-word. I want to co-opt bigot. Like,
okay.
What up, my bigots?
You
I
do
think
you.
we should do that.
Okay. But I just felt like 13 Reasons Why did what you definitely shouldn't do, which is romanticize the suicide, make it a whole thing, make it a teen drama. It's like her character is still the girl that
suicide ideation.
She's still in the show, like very much in the show, even though she's like dead. So it just weird. Feels like they romanticize it and they're like, oh well, people will still talk about you, but it's. And like everyone will feel bad for all the mean things they did. You'll become
a legend if you commit suicide.
Yeah, it was really dangerous. It was really dangerous, and I would not advise any teens to watch that show at all, especially those struggling with depression or suicide ideation. But I do think Orville did it right. They showed it and they just had discussions about it.
Absolutely incredible. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
And in the end, he comes back, which is awesome. So
by overcoming prejudice.
Yeah.
You get the lady whose girlfriend was killed by the Kalons.
Which by the way, that's how you do an LGBT character. You don't make her entire existence and based upon that identity. That wasn't, she just happened to be lesbian. Yeah. But she had other character traits. And she could visualize 4D geometry and stuff. That's a cool character.
And like it made the story better.
Exactly. And she happened to be lesbian. I was fine. She's a great character.
She was
all these other shows.
Could you imagine if we
fantastic? And I was very
great.
As soon as not the finale, but the penultimate episode started, I was like
more of a finale than the finale.
I was like, oh no. They're gonna do it, aren't they? Like I was hoping she would stick around, but I'm so glad they killed her off because it was beautiful.
It was a
holy
wonderful send-off.
Crap! And the second I was like, Star Trek wouldn't have the balls to do this. Because it would be considered a fridging. Killing off the lesbian apparently is a trope that I didn't know. People think that. It's a trope, apparently. I didn't know it existed.
They always kill the lesbian.
But her story, like I would have loved to see her in future seasons.
Mm-hmm.
But at the sacrifice of a beautiful story, no, like she needed to die, and it was amazing.
It was a very heroic.
Her whole story is literally overcoming racism.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for a race that. It's debatable whether or not they needed to be redeemed. Like a lot, and the show talks about that.
That was surprising.
The show talks about that. They're like, these are literally, they literally tried to do a genocide, and we're going to forgive them. And half the characters are like, yeah, it's the greater good, and people can change, and like they're robots, they're still learning. And some of the characters still hold on to that prejudice, and you don't blame them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the end, she gives up her life for a race of people that killed her girlfriend. It's beautiful.
And her sacrifice is the catalyst that turns the Kalon over. That was just a temporary alliance until her sacrifice.
She's like that guy, I forget his name, but the legend he's a black guy who just started becoming friends with KKK members and converting them.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll look it up.
I haven't heard of that. That's awesome.
I think I've heard of that.
But yeah, you're exactly right. Their alliance was just a temporary alliance because it was because they had that weapon that could destroy all the Kalon. It wasn't based on anything else. But her sacrifice, it was beautiful. It was poetic.
Daryl Davis converted 200 clan members.
Wow!
By becoming friends with them. And his whole philosophy was the reason they held these views is because they don't know any black people.
Yeah.
Personally. And he would just show up in their lives, talk to them, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're a human just like me," and they left the KKK. Oops. What a freaking legend.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I do think TV can do more good.
And that's exactly what they did with the Kalons too. They're saying like, their position was that biological life was inferior, and they were okay exterminating it because the only biological life that they had ever been exposed to was one that oppressed them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when her sacrifice is like, maybe we were wrong, maybe we misjudged, and that biological life does hold value. It's so good. Freaking good.
Yeah. Very good episode.
Yep.
From the Family Guy guy.
Yeah.
The Family Guy.
And then kind of a side tangent story is the other Kalon that they find that they reprogram to be able to express emotion. That whole episode was fantastic as well.
That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, yeah. That was. But I
loved how it ended. How Claire was like, "No, I'm not going to ask you to do this because it wouldn't change our relationship. Like I don't love you because you can feel emotions. I love you for your mind, and to sacrifice that so that you could feel emotions would be selfish of me."
Yeah,
that's so good.
But then she still got to see.
Yeah,
she knew for sure.
And she knows. She's like, if you were capable of feeling, I know that you would love me, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
And then tying in together.
It's
at the
such
very
a
end,
weird concept too. Like the whole romance is literally the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre. Good. But it's the most beautiful thing on the show.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "I'll take care of your descendants." And she's like,
"Oh
my gosh." I know, I almost teared up at that part. I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Yeah.
I really loves her.
And then they have the pros and cons girl meeting. Right?
Yes.
Where they're like, pros, he doesn't have emotion. Like, is that a pro or is that a con? I don't know.
Yeah, that was so good.
I actually liked that depiction of girl talk.
It was great.
Yeah, it was good.
That's how you do it. It's not the caricature, of womanhood. It's natural and normal.
The funniest part too is when they have Captain Mercer come in and they're all drunk and they just ask his opinion.
They're like, no, we need to hear a man's opinion right now.
So he gives his opinion and he's like, "You have been thankful, sober man. Thank you. You may go."
Yeah.
That's so good. Great. Everything about I'm trying to think of negatives for the show. I genuinely can't.
One negative for this season was that the CGI in, I think it was episode 3, was god awful, so bad.
Yeah,
but there was
a reason for it at the end. You could kind of make sense. Like watching the episode, you could tell that was the episode that they didn't have any more budget. They were filming everything like on practical sets,
or COVID restrictions or something,
or COVID restrictions or something. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it was basically that the CGI was awful. It didn't mesh. The shadows didn't quite work out, and all of their shots were like outside on a lake or in the real.
Oh, that was the virtual
life.
reality thing.
That was the virtual reality thing.
But, yeah, and
but again,
and then they explain they that's
they
so
explained
clever.
it. They explained the bad CGI in the end because it was a simulation from those higher beings that were.
I just realized that too. They're like, "Hey, we actually have a sucky episode in real life, but we'll let it. It's okay.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be, guys.
It's so good.
We did it on purpose.
It completely excuses that the rest of the thing was filmed in a high school and a real 747 airplane, and just outside." Doing like we talked about before, filming in the daytime and making it night. It looked terrible. But there was a reason for it in the end. I was like, that's so good. I can excuse it. You get a pass. It was such a good episode. And it was so Star Trek, too. It just, it was so good.
That episode was bizarre.
Yeah. It was very weird. I kept going like, okay, I think I know what's going on. I'm like, wait, what? What's going on?
And
then at the very end, you're like, that's so good. That's so Star Trek.
It was a great reveal. And it was adhering to continuity.
Yeah,
it wasn't just like, oh, this is a crazy idea from out of nowhere. It's let's respect our own canon and pull this deep cut that no one thought we would bring back, but it fits here.
Again, it's a perfect classic Star Trek. Is they get apprehended by some advanced future race and they're doing experiments on them. That's classic original trilogy Star Trek.
I doubt that was even originally the idea. I doubt they probably came up with the idea of, hey, let's have an episode where they interact with someone who's more advanced with them. And that would be interesting. And they start writing the story and they realize, oh, hey, 13 episodes back, we had a civilization that advances faster. Mm-hmm. Let's have it be the same guys.
Yeah. It's so good.
Crazy.
And then you had the third reiteration of the transgender one, the Tale of Two Topas.
Yes.
Wow.
Okay.
That was so heavy.
We've talked about politics in media and how you want to keep it out. That doesn't mean you can't tell political stories in entertainment.
Yes.
But you don't want to, alienate your audience by choosing a political side and preaching and saying this is the correct way to think, because people think differently. And it's brilliant because they found a perfect balance. They wanted to tell a story that has echoes of our real world and things that we're seeing, right? Because that's interesting storytelling. And they do it in such a clever way that they basically they jumble up the politics. They take left and right, and then they mix them together and then separate them again.
Yeah.
So you can't be mad about it.
Yeah. Literally either side of the political spectrum of today's politics,
no one
real
can
world
be
politics.
upset.
You can't be upset with this episode because they split it up like that. They craft it so well. They make commentary on transitioning, on detransitioning, on being mature enough and old enough to make those decisions,
on doing it without parental consent.
On doing without parental consent. They make comments on all of that, but like you said, you split it up so you can't be mad at either side because
they did the same thing with the Krill episode.
Yeah.
Both sides of the Krill had clear analogies to Donald Trump.
Yeah, you're talking about the election one,
the leader loses the election and wants to challenge it just after signing a historic peace deal in the Middle East. I mean, sorry, for the Kalon.
Yeah, you're right.
And then he tries to challenge the election. And then the other people throw a coup, but they're preaching America first. I mean, Krill, what's the name of their planet? Did they say Krill first?
I don't even know.
They literally say
really
they literally go America first, America first. like, and you can't be upset about it because it's a jumble, and their side is like a super pro-life, but the other side is pro-choice. It's jumbled up. It's fantastic.
Again, you can't disagree with either side.
The point is to make people think about these things, not to tell you how to think. Right. You create the situation, you create a political environment, and you say, hey, this is a weird idea. How would you feel about it if you were in this situation?
And that's exactly
what Star Trek used to be.
Exactly.
It used to take here's a crazy sci-fi idea, and it wouldn't preach about it. It would say, what would you do in this situation?
And they throw in a half-naked lady and call it an episode.
Captain Kirk bangs her, and then you move on.
Yeah.
Questionable consent. I'm just saying,
Kirk
those
was a
episodes
ladies'
are real
man.
problematic. A little bit.
What's that one where it just like totally slaps that lady?
Yes.
It's
I
so
don't remember
funny.
the episode, but yeah.
There's one where he like literally forces the girl down on a bed and is like, and she's
I
like,
remember that one.
yes,
Seducing
no,
her,
yes,
yeah.
no. And
I think that was with the empath or whatever.
no's actually mean yeses.
yeah, it's just like. Oof.
Yeah, but you're right. There was one of the girls was acting ridiculous, and he just straight up slaps her. It's like a different.
It's like
time.
a backhand too. It's like
yeah.
Yeah, he always backhands. You will always get the back of his hand.
It's like my favorite scene from James Bond. Any James Bond movie is the opening scene in Goldfinger. Is it? Oh, it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. There's a girl who he's copulating with, and but she's betrayed him, and they're about to kiss, and it zooms in on her eyes, and he sees a reflection through her eyeball of a bad guy sneaking up trying to stab him. So he spins her around. And she gets whacked by the bad guy.
Oh
and then he tosses her aside. It's so funny.
What is that from?
Goldfinger. It's
right,
one of the best James Bond movies of all time.
Is she gold?
Goldfinger.
Yeah. That was on they painted the lady gold and dead in the bed, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that was good. So our dedicated viewer Jacob Ironside has said twice in the chat that he enjoys episode 2, which was, I believe, that was their Borg episode.
Super good.
Where they had that was really, really good. I can't wait for them to revisit this in season 4 because I was honestly hoping they would revisit it this season, but
I was surprised that
there
were so many like shifts, like the whole. I was excited to see them finally work together with the Krill, and then that's over in like episode 3, or 4, right? And then the Mocklins are gone too, but now like I'm loving the whole like Kalon relationship too. But if they're not friends with the Krill, how are they going to explore the Borg? Because I want to see more of that junk.
Yes,
I loved how it was like a religion to them, like this evil. It was so cool.
Yes, yeah, it was really good. I'm interested to see more of how that works and what percentage of their identity, I guess, is still there.
I don't think it is.
Well, because she still was able to communicate with the captain guy. That was her ex-husband or whatever his name was. Yeah. So I mean, some residual something is there. It's just not. It's not him anymore. But I don't know. It's interesting.
I liked that episode. That one really felt like a throwback episode because so many of like the old sci-fi Star Trek things was like, hey, there's this thing that's potentially dangerous, but we're gonna go look at it anyway, right? And then it always goes bad, and then they have to figure out how to fix it. And it was just so I loved the just like the stupidity. Like, no, like don't split up, right? Don't leave the tent. Like, why would you do this? But we have to for science. I loved it. I loved how stupid it was to go. Like, why would you go into that planet without a mask or something? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the second time they go in though. They're in like full hazmat gear. Like,
Yeah,
okay, we got to figure out what happened.
Yeah,
I'm like, why are you going back? And they're like, okay, they're in full hazmat suits.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a good episode. I liked that they thought they were responding to a distress signal, but it was just a beacon to lure them in, and infect them. That was really cool.
The one other thing I wanted to talk about for season 3 was, the Mocklins on board.
Mm-hmm.
What are their names?
It's
Topa. Topa is the daughter. Son,
yep, and then
daughter.
so Clyden is the
husband.
The husband to Bortus, yeah.
Bortus, right.
Bortus
so
and Clyden. And
I
Topa.
was so glad when Clyden left because I hated his character.
But when he comes back, though,
I know. But I was like, yes, Clyden is out of the picture, and they kind of hinted at like a romance between Bortus and the captain, captain's ex-wife. What's her name?
What? Claire? Sorry, what?
No, the main, the second in command.
Yeah, Kelly Grayson. Kelly Grayson.
Yeah, they kind of hinted at a romance between them a little bit when they were in the penultimate episode.
Yes, that was weird and also interesting.
Yeah, I was like
that explored
because I think surprisingly the most interesting thing they've done is the interspecies relationship between Claire and
Isaac.
Yeah,
so that was
the one episode with
Claire and the Yaphet.
No, with
the
new security officer, and she keeps breaking.
Oh yes, that was so good too. Yeah,
but I think it would be interesting to see a lot of the cross species things, just like the difference of
and that one when they started hinting at it, I thought that would be interesting too because he's a Mocklin. He's in this male relationship. He's attracted to males, but he's kind of advancing on the.
Would have been interesting to see him like challenge even more of his people.
Yeah, it would have been really interesting to see that play out. But
I don't know if I would go so far as to ship them, but I was really excited when Clyden left, and then they brought him back in the final episode, and I was like, yeah, this is pretty good too. Yeah. like I the second I saw him, I was like, no, but also it makes total sense after what happened. Like, yeah. And then it was pretty beautiful what they did in that final episode, even though it was ridiculous and uncomfortable at times.
Oh yeah, the whole
fake rape
mating ritual. Yeah, that was awkward.
But it was good. Like,
he has to run away from me.
So he must run, and I must pursue, and I will take him.
Yeah,
it's just a good show.
They're half naked. And
and it's like, why is their daughter there too? And it's like, like they should have just panned her and be like.
The way that they ended it though, with them doing the foreheads and then
just for like 2 minutes straight,
the slow clap.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
What a good show.
Well, Clyden was born female, wasn't he?
Yes, Clyden's a female who they
I thought they were going to explore that a little bit more and maybe have him detransition too, but it's fine that they didn't.
I don't know.
It was good.
Such
a good show.
I mean, I could see them maybe doing that in the future, but the problem was when you had Topa, it was very obviously a female actor that they were lowering the voice for.
Yeah, Clyden is
And-
probably a male actor.
Yeah, Clyden is
you wanna
very
change
much
the actor.
properly a male. so they could change the actor, but I don't know. It's fine. I'll be interested to see whatever they do in the future because, like I said, season 3, every single episode was just absolute fantastic. It was so good. Oh, and so Jared was saying how he likes those little quips of humor.
Yeah.
And there was one part in this season that I absolutely fell out of my chair laughing. Is when that engineer gives Isaac relationship advice, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna sleep around with other people."
Yes.
and then
he goes.
He talks to Claire, and he's like, "I know how to fix this."
Will you go on a date with me, and we can have sexual relations at the end? And he's like, Isaac, where's this coming from?
But the way she just waltzes back in there is like, if you ever give any relationship advice to Isaac ever again, I will come up here and I will. Yeah, it was like, oh, that was such a good moment.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And Lamar, of course, that's his philosophy because he's always sleeping around. There's been several scenes of him.
What a fantastic show, man.
Yeah. So good.
I love it.
Very good show. Yeah. And strong female characters. Like literally strong.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the whole show is there isn't a single female character with the side buzz mullet.
Yeah, when did that become like a trademark thing?
It worked for me in Raised by Wolves. Okay, just a little bit.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
but everyone else had mullets too. It was like a religious thing. Okay, but why are there so many? I don't know. Yeah, loved it. Yeah. I loved it. All of the women were strong and independent and also extremely well written. And celebrated their womanhood.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Agreed.
So.
All of them were very feminine. Yep. Even
very
good show. Praying for a season 4. It'll get renewed.
Yeah.
I have faith in that.
I mean, Disney Plus just added it, so
yeah, especially with it moving over to Disney Plus, it's going to get a lot more eyes on it, I think.
Yeah,
super entertaining. Yeah, that's all I have to talk about. You guys have any other notes?
No, that's it.
Good stuff. Go watch the Orville.
Go watch the Orville.
Mm-hmm.
Don't
and if
watch
you missed the
She-Hulk.
old Chilean, go watch Prodigal Son.
Particle Sun.
No, it's not that great of a show.
Okay. Don't watch it. Yeah. Watch our live.
It's interesting, but yeah.
Next
from Walking Dead, he's also on it. Sorry, I'll shut up. Sorry.
Next week, we are having a Lord of the Rings celebration episode where we will talk about the Lord of the Rings books. We'll talk about the Peter Jackson movies. I will have binge watched the extended editions before the show. I was toying at the idea I wanted to do like a live stream where we could like comment and talk as I marathon all 3 movies in one day. But I think I'm going to live tweet. I think that'll be easier to do. I will live tweet all of my thoughts during my marathoning of the Lord of the Rings, and that will be this week. Unfortunately, it can't be Saturday, which would be the obvious choice because that's my son's birthday party. So I think I'm just going to do it Friday. Some of you have to work. Sorry, you're not going to be able to watch marathon the Lord of the Rings with me. So that's next week, and then the week after that, brace yourselves.
For Rings
Lord
of
the Rings is going to be your room.
Because we're going to be watching the Rings of Pooper. Oh, also, I think Game of Thrones is happening like right now.
Yeah.
Really?
I think it airs at 9:00. So
Okay.
oh yeah, everyone left the stream. So
Oh. I
think I'm gonna find a way to watch it clean. I don't know if I'll watch the whole show, but I'll watch the first episode.
Yeah, I was talking to my mom about that. I was like, "Yeah, I didn't ever watch Game of Thrones. It's a little too much of
many
the
boobs.
nudity and stuff." She's like, "Oh, well, just be careful whenever this character and this character come on screen. Oh, and also when that character comes on screen, you might as well skip that part. Oh, and when that character comes on screen, also like yeah. Oh, when those two are siblings, yeah, and it's just like that's like the whole show.
Hey, yeah. There's VidAngel though. We can use that.
Yeah, we'll do that. I guess.
That's how I watched Game of Thrones. Well, not on VidAngel. There were other services out there, but yeah, it's harder to critique a show that you're filtering, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not super interested in it anymore after how badly Game of Thrones ended, anyway. But I'll at least watch episode 1. So, Rings of Powerpuff Girls. That is a good way of. Except the Powerpuff Girls was a good show. So. That's an insult to.
Bubbles was cute.
That is an insult to sugar and spice and everything nice.
Didn't they just make a live action
and Chemical
Powerpuff
X?
Girls?
I think they tried to and realized it was dog crap.
Yeah, I think they released a commercial or something.
I'm pretty sure they made all of
live action Powerpuff Girls.
I'm pretty sure they made all of them black.
I don't think that matters.
Live action.
It's not crucial to the story.
Oh, it's a TV series. Did that come out?
I don't think so.
Yeah, there was a commercial for it, and it was like, this looks absolutely ridiculous. Anyways.
Yep. Have a good night. Peace out. Maybe go watch some House of the Dragon Ball Z. And we'll see you guys next week. We're doing another small talk on Thursday, where we talk about things that are small.
Sounds fun.
Go watch The Lord of the Rings, everybody. It's your last chance to enjoy something good before it's all destroyed.
And Lord of the Rings 1, Lord of the Rings 2.
Lord of the Rings 1 and Lord of the Rings 2 and Lord of the Rings 3. The Return of the Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Bye.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.